hello. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning with us here at Science TV Breakfast Show. I will be taking you through the show as Candy. I'm stepping in for Alan Hubbard. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Breakfast Show. We will be informing you the news-making headlines, touching on the dailies, and also getting to some sports action, finishing it off with the weather forecast in Nairobi, Kisumu, Murang'a, and Mombasa. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you join us on all our social media platforms. You can engage with us using Science TV Kenya on all social media platforms, or engage with us using our website www.sciencetv.co.ke. I am a host again, Esther Kendi, and my sign language interpreter this morning is Gideon Maina. Allow me to dive straight into the news-making headlines, where we start with the rising death toll from Monday's Sabasaba protest. The Kenyan National Commission on Human Rights confirmed that 31 people have died and are amidst the unrest. Among the victims, we have a 12-year-old girl in Ndeberu, Kiambu County, who was fatally struck by gunfire while watching television with her mother. This happened nearly 2 kilometers away from the main protesters' routes. Let's get more from the clip.
Jana tulikuwa kwa nyumba na mtoto wangu muda wa 6:20 hapo, na ndio tukasikia kitu imelia na sauti kubwa sana. Tukiwa kwa nyumba kama tumekaa chini, kumwangalia kwa mkono nikaona akona damu. Wakati niliona akona damu, tulidhani ni kitu imemkata, kama ni kitu imepasuka. Wakati nilimshika mkono kuangalia damu imetoka wapi, ndio mtoto wangu akaanguka chini, na kumwangalia nikaona akona shimo kwa kichwa. Ndio nikapiga duru. Ningetaka pia kuuliza, haki ya mtoto wangu nitaipata aje? Na hata kama nitapata haki, watarudisha mtoto wangu hai tena? Hawatamrudisha ya kweli?
Hakuna mwenye amekuja kututembelea wala kutupa lambirambi.
To have a 12-year-old girl who was caught mid crossfire. We really are sending our condolences to the family, and we hope that justice will be served. But the question which the mom keeps asking is, will she get a child back even after justice has been served? But still, on some other protests and other news which are happening after the Sabasaba protest, we have tens of families still in mourning following the sudden and brutal deaths of their loved ones, where victims of what appeared to be yet another brazen and unjustful use of force by suspected security agencies. According to relatives, most of those shot dead were not part of the demonstrations, and this is highlighting a disturbing pattern and the violence intrusion into residential areas, leaving innocent Kenyans caught in the crossfire.
Kama mtoto wangu alikufa nini? Alikuwa tu ameketi kwa nyumba. Just kusimama tu kuziangalilia hivyo mtoto wangu anashutiwa. Nao maserikali wanaenda tu na wanaenda tu hivi, hata waangalie kwenye wanashuti.
What transpired? Ndio mshoot. Na ni kwa street. KDG ya White ambao sijui inakuanga station ya Makongeni na mekuanga wapi, hiyo ndio ilikuwa ili mshoot. Sasa mwenye alikuwa kwa hiyo DJ mwenye alimshoot ndio mimi naweza taka tujue ni nani.
Hao watu wakati walianza hiyo commotion yao, watu wakirudi kupotea na huku, huyo madam Junior alikuwa na bunduki yenye hizi zingine zilikuwa zinaonekana ni za tear gas. Yake ndio ilikuwa inaonekana ndio ilitumika hiyo kazi.
Tuko tumesimama hivi, nikamwambia tuondoke hapa tusonge hivi. Naenda kugeuka hii side nyingine, nikiwa nafikiria amenifuata, nikasikia watu wakisema umeua. Kuangalia ni sister wangu wako chini.
Kenya is not a police state. This government must understand that we are beyond, being coerced. We are beyond being silenced. We will continue to air our voices.
Well, it is very saddening to hear the passing of some of these family members, and more so hearing that most of them were not even part of the demonstrations, but they tried to just mind their own business, but they were met with chaos. But Chief Justice Martha Koome has now called on the police to employ professionalism and exercise restraint while dealing with protesters. The CJ added that the security agencies should distinguish between peaceful demonstrators and criminal elements. This comes after Deputy President Professor Kithure Kindiki blamed the chaos spate of demos witnessed in the country
It is also incumbent
unemployment.
It is also incumbent upon the police to distinguish between peaceful demonstrators and criminal elements, those who infiltrate protests to incite violence and root.
Among the number of unemployed people we have, over 60% are youth. And this is what drives young people into crime and drugs and into a general state of hopelessness and despair.
Staying on the castigation, we have the opposition leaders have castigated the use of police force against protesters. The leaders accused the government of violating human rights and called on Kenyans to stand firm and defend their constitution. Let's get here what they actually said.
The killings are neither accidental nor isolated. They are targeted, often at young protesters and activists. The militia are coordinated, wearing civilian clothes but operating with police protection. The use of excessive force is sanctioned at the highest levels, including public statements by cabinet secretaries and high-ranking police officials. There is no accountability, only denials, cover-ups, and state propaganda. This regime is now hostile. It cannot be reasoned with. It must be resisted. We will not rest. We will not retreat. We will not surrender until every drop of innocent blood is accounted for.
And away from the demonstrations and sending our condolences to all the families who have people who have been able to pass on, and touching on what the CJ, Martha Koome, and also the opposition are saying, are the police using too much force on the civilians who come to protest unarmed, or what is really happening? Is Sabasaba Day a day to commemorate and remember our heroes turned into chaos of looting and protest? That is the question I want to pose for you, my viewer, as I touch on the Manyata Member of Parliament, Gitonga Mukunji, will spend the night at the Muthaiga police station pending a court ruling on a bail application and a prosecution application to detain him for further 10 days pending his case.
Is to request a limitation of the rights to liberty,
not just to say the whole country are watching clearly this political persecution. So it cannot be any other thing. We cannot call it by any other name.
I will deliver a ruling on the application by the council for the respondents tomorrow at 11 a.m.
That has been the news making headlines, where we get to analyze the aftermath of protest, weeks after weeks after weeks of having protest all around in the country. And welcome back from that short break. Thank you for staying tuned here at Science TV Breakfast Show. I am your host, Esther Kendi, and my sign language interpreter is Gideon Maina. Allow me to dive to the dailies, where I want to start with the standards and get to read the news which are making headline. And the headline of the Standard Nation is Innocent Blood. And definitely they get to give story where they have pointed out that innocent blood which has been shed by the police. We have a 6-month-old child will grow up fatherless. A man who prayed to raise him gunned down before he could return home. In Kiambu, a 12-year-old girl, Bridget Njoki, was shot dead while watching TV in her mother's living room in Kitengela. We have a mother who spent the night guarding the body of her deceased son. And when the gunfire stopped, at least 11 lay dead in a blood-soaked echo of Sabasaba in the Kenyan streets. Kenyan streets have become executioning grounds as Gen Z marched unarmed for justice. Bullets answered their cries, and most fired from behind, striking down those running for safety but never reaching for it. That is the headline that they have posted on the Standard, and they have also given photos and the names of the people who were recognized to be dead during the Sabasaba protest, where we have Bridget Njoki, who's a 12-year-old, and also Peter Mugo, a 21-year-old, shot dead in Kirinyaga. Anthony Kariuki, 19-year-old, shot dead in Naivasha. Paul Mburu, 26-year-old, shot and killed in Ngong. Jeremiah Oscar, 24-year-old, shot dead in Ngong. Jos Pat Kinuthia, 24-year-old, shot dead in Ngong. Peter Njenga, 23-year-old, shot dead in Naivasha. Edwin Ndambiri, 25-year-old. Paul Makori, 35-year-old, shot and killed in Nairobi. Elvis Muvasi, shot and killed in Nairobi. They've also shown a photo of a mom who's mourning the child, and the bottom is, her name is Anne Nyawira, mother of Brian Kimutai, 21, addresses the journalist in Kitengela Sub-County Hospital mortuary yesterday as she talked of her son. And also on the Standard, we will get the Enterprise, where we talk of businesses, starting a business, making money, and getting connected, where they talk of street vendors and kiosks with fake products, and that are those are the people who are really much affected. And at the bottom, they're really written on when sibling rivalry kills promising enterprises. We have seen that happening a lot in the country, and how to oust a co-founder legally and smoothly. Please grab yourself the Standard, and you'll get to get more from that story, whether business or whether what is happening in the country, anything to do with protest. And allow me to get to the Daily Nation, where the headline is Sabasaba, and they have touched on death toll hits 31 people. The aftermath, we have more Kenyans lose their lives as injuries also mount amidst growing violence in the waves of young-led protest across the country. And on economy, we have protest hits most sectors of the economy hard, disrupting businesses and travel and keeping workplaces in many towns shut. And fresh boycott calls, where opposition politicians urge Kenyans to shun businesses, services, and institutions which are linked to President and his allies. And UN sound alarm. The High Commissioner for Human Rights voiced concerns over the violent turn of events during the Sabasaba demonstration. You can get to read all those headlines I've given you in details from pages 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And also on the Daily Nation, on the front page, we'll have to see a mom who's actually very sad. Her name is Sabina Tabitha, the wife of a 37-year-old Paul Makori, who was killed during the Monday Sabasaba demonstrations in Kangemi. And the Nairobi journalist addressed this yesterday at the Nairobi funeral home. You can get to read more of this story from the Daily Nation. They have also touched on the TSC, who have unveiled the new policy on teachers' promotion. The full story of that will be on page 8, and also why new sugar millers are switching to cane by-products. Please grab yourself a Standard or the Daily Nation, where you're going to get updated on the news which are making headlines, and you can get to read more and in depth about the headlines which I've just given you. Thank you so much for staying tuned. Welcome back from that short break. Allow me to get to some sporting action and the weather this morning in the major cities in Nairobi, where I'm going to start with the Kenyan national men's para-volleyball team has suffered a narrow defeat to Algeria in their opening match of the African Champions, which is currently underway at Kasarani Indoor Arena in Nairobi. The host, who is Kenya, had expressed optimism about sealing a ticket of the World Cup and lost a hard-fought encounter with a score of 3-2 to the Algeria side. The championship serves as a crucial qualifier, with the top two teams earning a direct branch to the 2026 World Para-Volleyball Championship in the USA. While this was a tough start for the Kenyan men's team on the home soil, they remained hopeful of a good turnout as they foresee around the subsequent matches within Group A, which also feature Rwanda team. And also, the day 4 competition, we had the African Para-Volleyball Champions, so that Kenya's men's sitting volleyball team deliver a commending performance, securing their first victory of the tournament with straight set wins against South Africa in their classification 5 and 6 match. The Kenyan team showcased impressive form at the Kasarani Indoor Arena, with the final scores reflecting their dominance. As set 1, we had Kenya, who got 25, South Africa 11. Set 2, Kenya with 25, South Africa 20. Kenya in set 3 had 25 and South Africa had 12. Big shout out to the Kenyan team for representing us as Kenyans, and we are proud and we're hoping we're going to be qualifying. But away from that, I'm going to touch on the weather, where here in Nairobi, we expect cloudy skies throughout the day, and the temperatures will be rising from 14 degrees Celsius in the morning to around 20 to 22 degrees Celsius in the afternoon and in the evening. In Murang'a, we expect similar trends as Nairobi, where there will be cloudy in the morning, starting at 16 degrees Celsius in the morning to around 20 degrees Celsius by mid-afternoon, and 24 degrees Celsius to the evening, and the cooling will start. And also in Kisumu is also cloudy and warm, but thunderstorms are likely to happen between 3 and 6 p.m. with temperatures peaking around 26 degrees Celsius, then cooling to the low of 20 degrees Celsius by night. In Mombasa, we get the sunny skies, where mostly the day is going to be sunny or partly sunny, with temperatures rising around 23 degrees Celsius in the morning. To daytime, they're going to have highs of 28 to 29 degrees Celsius, and settling into the evening, the temperatures are going to cool to around 20 degrees Celsius. That is all for the weather. So I really want to encourage my viewer from wherever region where you are watching the show from, please prepare yourself accordingly. And the quote of the day, which brings us to the end of the breakfast show, is start where you are, use what you have, do what you can. Arthur Ashe is the writer of this quote, and I'm going to repeat it again. Start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. I hope that is motivation enough for you, my viewer, who's watching me from different regions in the country. Thank you for staying tuned here at Science TV Breakfast Show. I have been taking you through the show, Esther Kendi, standing in for Alan Hubbard, and my interpreter has been Gideon Maina. Please make sure you stay tuned for the one and other news headlines, which will be bringing you through our anchors later on today. And I hope you'll be up to date. That is all we have prepared for you. See you on the subsequent shows. Good morning.